We live in a world where Assassin's Creed, a $60 game that nobody seemed to like, gets a sequel, and where Jason Rohrer, a guy who made a free game called Passage that moved many gamers to tears, has to work for Campbell's Soup just to support his family. Something is wrong here. One of the best things about being a gamer right now is that the industry is still feeling things out as far as their revenue stream is concerned. We don't have one set format for this is what a video game has to be released in. We've got disc-based games, we've got downloadable games, we've got XBLA games, we've got episodic content, we've got DLC, we've got all these different things. Movies are just movies, you either rent them or you buy them. Books are just books. They're set and they're set in stone. Video games are much more fluid. And that means that we as gamers have the possibility to actually change the way that the medium goes forward just based on what things we choose to pay for. And that makes it all the more disappointing that we don't actually seem to want to treat games as this thing that is new and interesting and we can maybe find a new format for paying for stuff. This last week, Gabe Newell talked about the idea of maybe it'd be interesting if players instead of publishers invested in games, and then you get maybe a return on your investment if the game turned out to sell well, and then you'd also get, a free copy of the game. And all the comments I read to the news story that was about that were like, yeah, well, that's nice, but it would never work on a large scale. Well, why is that? Games aren't music or movies or TV shows or anything like that. Games can be anything we want them to be just based on how we pay for them. Why do we have to adhere to this format where we pay money for a finished product, and we get the finished product, and that's the end of it? Why do we have to be like every other media in that respect? Why in the name of God are we willing to shell out $60 for a shitty historical parkour game and then refuse to give $5 to an independent developer whose games we happen to like? When Jason Rohrer got this advertising job with Campbell's Soup, a lot of gamers called him a sellout and said that he was being a little bitch and that he's just doing it for the money. And I really wonder how many of those people who complained about that actually decided to donate to him after playing Passage or Gravitation or Between. If every single person who had played Passage and enjoyed it had given Jason Rohrer just $5, I don't think he'd probably have to start working for the man just to keep his family from fucking starving to death. But as gamers, we could get past this stupid set-in-stone revenue model where I give you money and then you give me a game. I mean, it's great when people like that game company or John Blow get a downloadable game on Xbox Live or PSN and they make a lot of money because their games are good, and that's great, but it implies that Jason Rohrer would have to make a game of that size and scope just to get our money. Why would we only give him our money in that situation? Is Passage really less deserving than Flower of $10 just because Passage is only about 5 minutes long? Does that somehow make it less worthy? I mean, really think about it. We're willing to pay $60 for the chance that a game will be good so long as it's a big budget mainstream title. I mean, we may have played a demo of a game like Assassin's Creed or whatever, but when we play that $60, we're still gambling. We still don't know for sure that it's going to be good, but we'll pay it anyway, and just because 60 is the norm, we won't complain at all. Whatever. We'll complain that the game is shitty, sure, but that complaint will be independent of the price. But we won't pay a dime, not a fucking dime, for a game that we have just finished playing, even if it was fantastic. Do we really have to adhere to this, like, the prisoner exchange system? You hand me the money, I'll hand you the girl, that bullshit? Why can't we just pay for actual quality instead of the chance for quality? Something about that is just incredibly unsatisfying to me. The people who make decent games, who think that they should be free, and think that, well, maybe, it'd be nice if someone could pay me for my efforts if they really appreciated the game, get nothing. Assassin's Creed, a piece of fucking shit, gets $60 just because gamers think, well, it might be good. Maybe. Passage is good and gets nothing. Why don't we pay for actual quality to show our support instead of paying for potential quality? What if when you finish a game like Today I Die or Dear Esther, you just stop, you find the guy's website who made it, you donate $5, $5 or less, or a little bit more if you feel like it, or if they don't have a donation thing, you email them and ask them if they accept donations. Wouldn't that just be a much better way of going about things? I mean, wouldn't that be a much more artistically satisfying, a much less soulless bullshit kind of format for paying people, where we actually reward people for doing a good job? Isn't that weird? We don't give $60 to people just for trying and saying, hey, maybe this might be good, and misleading us with trailers and putting on a really big ad campaign, but we actually pay people for things that are good after we know that they're good. How unreasonable is that? As it stands, we put massive amounts of money into the hands of publishers, and we keep reinforcing derivativeness and sequels and the same thing over and over and over and over, and we fail to ever reward the guys who might make a game like Money Seas or, Today I Die, as mentioned earlier. Any of these free games, we just won't pay for them just because, well, I've already played them, why do I need to pay them? And we wonder why there's no imagination. It's because it's not getting supported. We're not paying for this kind of cool shit. We're just paying for crappy fucking games that people demand money for, and we just go, oh, well, I guess that's just the way it has to work. But it doesn't. We're so early in this that we could probably change things, possibly. If you want to know why, you look around and you see a wasteland of gaming that is so bereft of imagination or chance or risk-taking or anything like that, where games like Brutal Legend or whatever are 1 in a million, where you actually get some degree of imagination in a mainstream title. If you wonder why that is, it's our fault. It's all our fault.